Welcome to our lesson on body systems. In this lesson, we will look at the circulatory system and the respiratory system. The key questions for today are: 1. How do the heart and lungs work together to deliver oxygen to the living cells of the body? 2. How are the lungs adapted for gas exchange? 3. What route does the blood follow as it moves around the body? 4. How is the resting heart rate controlled? 5. How are the different blood vessels adapted for their functions? The key words you will need to know are atria, ventricles, pacemaker, surface area, pressure. The human heart is located in the chest cavity or thorax and acts as a pump to move blood around the body. The blood is pumped to various other parts of the body, for example, the lungs. At the lungs, oxygen diffuses into the blood and is then carried to the cells, where it leaves the blood and is used for respiration. The lungs are specifically adapted to allow as much oxygen as possible from the air we breathe in to diffuse into the blood. Task: can you draw a labelled diagram of the lungs? Include the label for the trachea, bronchi and alveoli. The trachea, or windpipe, is the tube through which air enters the lungs. From the trachea, the air enters the bronchi, one left and one right. This bronchi branch into smaller tubes ending in alveoli. Alveoli are tiny air sacs that are very thin. They are covered in a network of capillaries. These are very thin blood vessels that allow the oxygen to diffuse through the thin walls into the blood. Carbon dioxide also diffuses out of the blood and into the alveoli. This is gas exchange, and the lungs are specifically adapted for this. Extension: how are the lungs adapted for gas exchange? The thin walls of the capillaries and alveoli give a very short diffusion pathway, so diffusion occurs easily. The good blood supply through the capillaries maintains a concentration gradient, meaning there is always less oxygen in the blood than in the air in the alveoli, allowing diffusion to occur at the maximum rate. The shape of the alveoli give a large surface area to allow for maximum diffusion. The blood is pumped to the lungs from the right ventricle through the pulmonary artery. This blood is deoxygenated, so gains lots of oxygen at the lungs. It then flows into the pulmonary vein and returns to the heart, this time to the left side of the heart. From the left side of the heart, the blood is pumped to the whole body and the heart muscle itself. This blood is oxygenated and delivers oxygen to all of the cells. The oxygen diffuses out of the blood as the blood travels through a network of capillaries. Following this, the blood is deoxygenated as the oxygen has now passed into the cells. The blood returns to the heart through the vein named the vena cava. The heart itself is the pump that pushes the blood around, and it is specifically adapted to do so. The heart is made of special muscle called cardiac muscle, which does not fatigue. The heart muscle contracts to push the blood through the circulatory system. The heart is split into 4 sections: the left and right atria, and the left and right ventricles. The right side of the heart pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and the left side oxygenated blood all around the body. This is why the left side of the heart has a thicker muscular wall. The blood must be pushed out of the heart with higher pressure to go all the way around the body. The blood leaves the heart from the ventricles, which contract from the bottom up to squeeze the blood out. The blood enters the heart from the veins into the atria, which contract to push the blood into the ventricles. Valves in the heart prevent the backflow of blood and ensure it travels the correct way. The two contractions take place with a slight delay, with the atria contracting first, then the ventricles, giving the characteristic lub-dub of a heartbeat. The beats are initiated by a group of pacemaker cells in the right atrium. These cells initiate an electrical impulse that stimulates the contraction of the cardiac muscle. If someone has an irregular heartbeat, it means that these cells do not regulate the heartbeat effectively. Small artificial pacemakers can be fitted to correct this. Task: explain what happens when the heart beats. When the heart beats, the pacemaker cells in the right atrium send an electrical signal across the atria, causing the atria to contract, pushing the blood from the atria into the ventricles. The signal carries on down the heart, and after a small delay, the ventricles contract, pushing the blood out of the heart. Extension: describe the flow of blood through the heart. Oxygenated blood leaves the left ventricle through the aorta. The blood goes from the aorta through the capillary network of the body before coming back to the heart through the vena cava. The blood enters the right atrium and is at this point deoxygenated. The blood passes through into the right ventricle, from where it is pushed out through the pulmonary artery to the lungs. Here, the deoxygenated blood picks up oxygen before returning to the heart through the pulmonary vein. The blood enters the left atrium and is then pushed through to the left ventricle. The blood is carried away from the heart through blood vessels called arteries. Arteries have thick walls made of elastic tissue and muscular tissue. The gap in the middle of the vessel is small. This gap is called the lumen and is where the blood flows through. The arteries have thick walls to withstand and maintain the high pressure of the blood as it leaves the heart. The elastic tissue allows the vessels to expand as the heart beats and shrink back to keep the pressure high. The blood is squeezed from the arteries into the capillary network. The high pressure helps to move substances out of the blood and into the cells. Capillaries have walls which are 1 cell thick. This enables substances to diffuse out of the blood. The lumen of a capillary is about the same size as a red blood cell. The blood cells squeeze through the capillaries, allowing substances to exchange between the blood on the cells. From the capillaries, blood enters the veins. The blood is at a much lower pressure, so veins have valves to prevent backflow. Veins have thick walls made out of muscular tissue and elastic tissue, but not as thick as artery walls. The lumen of a vein is relatively large.